Hey guys, and welcome to our latest installment of A Cast of Salt. We have three very wonderful cast members here
We're
today.
the best.
We
are the
intentionally left out Ben so we can make that statement. Yeah, he just didn't show up. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Calm down. Jeez, a little behind the scenes shade there. Jeez.
To my right, we have Adam.
Hello.
And to my left, we have Carl.
Hello.
And I am Ben. Okay. How's everybody's last 2 weeks been?
It's been good. I've been playing. I got sidetracked a little bit with a few things, so I just started picking up Hollow Knight again. Spoiler alert, it's still a good game. Still a really good game.
In case you didn't know.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's still a really
In
good
case
game.
you didn't realize.
I actually really wanted to buy Octopath Traveler and play that, but I've purposely not bought it at the moment just so I can be like focused and get Hollow Knight done.
I was going to say, just so that you know, it's a much longer game than Hollow Knight.
Oh yeah. That's why I thought if I buy this and start playing it, I will never touch Hollow Knight ever again. So.
Oh, you
So
will.
finish
I will,
Hollow Knight.
but
You will, but not for like another year.
Yeah. So I'll let it go. But yeah, apart from that, I also bought a new graphic novel as well, which is very cool.
Ooh.
It's the
I'm
number one bestseller paperback at the moment because the Adventure Zone. I've talked about this podcast once or twice before.
Yes, you have.
Yes, it's a D&D podcast.
This is actually a paperback
They
version of that.
released a graphic novel. I actually have it with me.
pretty
the
cool.
art is just beautiful, and they changed that. It's an adaptation, so all the jokes from the podcast they kind of get into the graphic novel themselves,
in a more story-based
but
way.
In a more story-based, like it's still the narrative of like the adventure, and then the DM like kind of pops in the corner, but on the whole, it's like they actually rework it so like a joke that like you know how we're kind of joking around and
It's
like
like-
your character like you'll say something and then I add to your joke.
Yeah.
Like in that your character would just say the joke.
The joke.
Just
the
to make it
whole-
so
overall joke,
so
as
it's not
opposed to two people making the same joke together.
or not riffing off each other.
Yeah.
Like it's a coherent story. It's a very good comic book. Yeah.
It sounds fantastic.
Thoroughly recommend.
It still blows my mind that this whole live D&D trend has become such a massive thing.
I love it. That's actually one of my most favorite trends in recent. I guess you just say like YouTube
Recent pop culture
thing is like the huge resurgence of D&D, and not only that is like more people playing D&D.
Yeah.
And also
Well,
also like the really good level of there's so many good shows out there, and there's like live play stuff like Critical Role, which is like a play podcast, and there's also stuff like the Adventure Zone where they don't really follow the rules, but they bend things to make it fit
make
a
the
more
story-
narrative driven thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I love it.
It's kind of similar to like it's a good new trend. It's kind of like how board games made a resurgence in the last couple of years.
Well, I
Like
mean-
it's died down a little bit now, but
Also,
like, last few years it was just like board games were the thing.
I've also been seeing lately as well board game live play YouTube series are
Okay.
becoming much more of a thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm loving that too. Like I was watching some like the YouTubers I currently watch, Star Board Game Show, and they're like playing Werewolf, and I'm like, I cannot fucking wait to see this video. like it's just fun. I don't know. It's that aspect of YouTube is really enjoyable to me, and I think people are trying to do new things with it.
It's almost more interactive.
Yeah.
Like
I think I've touched on this before, but my highlight of last year's PAX Oz convention was when they brought their live role playing.
Yeah, was it incorporate
acquisitions?
acquisitions.
It's usually D&D, but for this one, because it was a one-off, they used Edge of the
Star Wars
Edge of
RPG.
the Empire or something like that.
Yeah,
It's not the old one, from
new
the
one.
70s, the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we're getting
Anyway, we're getting off
well
topic.
too into that.
But yeah.
Ruz, anything else?
I've
Anything
been
from
quite
you?
busy with work, so I haven't made it as far through Octopath as Ben has. I was kind of hoping he'd be here today to give his breakdown because he's almost finished the game. But
No, I don't want to get ruined.
but I mean, I'm still digging it. I've basically just finished up chapter 1, and I'm really struggling to decide which characters I'm going to take into chapter 2.
Oh, so you pick
Yeah.
chapter by chapter.
Well, you don't pick chapter by chapter, but it's sort of like I think it's going to be more fun, more efficient if I pick a party of 4 and focus on them, and then come back for the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
The more I hear about this game, the more I'm intrigued. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yes.
Look, the game's great. The game's great in my opinion. It's been kind of divisive in the wider community because it has a lot of JRPG isms that infuriate people. But
But if
I'm-
you've grown up on
I'm-
JRPGs, you're like, this is more of the same.
I'm
This is
used
the
to
norm.
that, and I kind of want that. So
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine for me, and if anything, it actually makes it better.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. For me, Defenders. Finally got around.
finally got around to
finally watched it all. So here's the situation. I've always liked Marvel stuff, and I've been watching all the Marvel Netflix stuff.
You like Marvel stuff?
And then I got
You don't
to
say.
Iron Fist, and I was just like, and that killed it for me. Literally,
Really?
after Iron Fist, I watched the first episode of Defenders, saw Iron Fist in it, and I don't know why. I just have a deep-seated hate of Iron Fist now.
Super unpopular opinion. Leah likes Iron Fist more than she liked Jessica Jones season 1. People, Jessica Jones is the best one of all of them, and she's like, I fucking hate Jessica Jones.
I don't think-
she refuses to watch it.
I don't
now.
think Jessica Jones is the best of them, but
Yeah.
nothing
Okay.
is worse than Iron Fist.
All right.
I cannot stand that character.
As an outsider to the whole Marvel business, can you explain to me why Iron Fist is so bad?
he's cringy.
It's just-
He's
yeah.
annoying. He is, and his acting is horrible. Like, there's so much you expect out of the character, and he delivers nothing of it.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then,
so
it hurts
not
to
great.
watch.
So just to clarify,
He's not a bad actor either. Like, cause he's Lancel, Lancel? Yeah, in Game of Thrones. He's the guy.
That's him?
No, actually not Lancel. No, I'm totally
No,
wrong.
like he's one of the Lannisters, but
no, he's not. Sorry, that's why the Lancel Lannister. That's not him. It's the Loras Tyrell. He's the Knight of Flowers. Yep. And he's good at that. He's like, that's a good character. And I was just like, yeah, that just, I don't know what.
Okay, so
Anyway.
so just to clarify, is it the character itself that's the problem, or is it this representation
Well, I'd say
of
it's
it?
the portrayal of the character, because I've seen the character in the comics, and I enjoy that character.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a good character. It's a weird character, but it's a good character.
Yeah.
But then in the show, it's just like anytime he's in any scene that he's in, I'm just like, I don't want to be part of this. I don't care for this right now. Literally, I'm enjoying Defenders, and then there's the second last episode. I'm not even gonna go into any real spoilers, but he's a bit of a main focus, and I just did not like that episode. There's a part
where like the plot kind of turns towards Iron Fist being the central of the four Defenders, and you're like, why?
and maybe not central to the four Defenders, but the central to the story within the show. And I was just like, I don't like him. He has.
He's just sort of like
single-handedly
he's actually in one episode of Luke Cage season 2. He's actually good in it because I think they've actually tweaked his character, how he acts, and that character is played in that one episode. And I was like, if this is indication, more tolerable.
And so the thing is, with all the other characters, there's character development and there is growth. He has not changed at all. Like, from get-go, he's, I have to fight the Hand. I have to protect Kong Long. I have to... And it's still the exact goddamn thing. Like, he gets his ass beat time and time again. Most characters are like, shit, I need to change. I need to improve. He's just the same two-dimensional
punch
piece
that
of
thing
crap. And he always relies on his Iron Fist.
Maybe if I punch it harder.
It's infuriating. I don't want to go into... I'm going to stop talking now because I am genuinely getting frustrated with this guy. Anyway, I saw the like, as soon as I finished Defenders, it was like Iron Fist 2 coming out September. I was just like... But I still want to watch Jessica Jones 2, and I still want to watch Luke Cage 2. So that's going to be my focus going forward. What you say about him in Luke Cage is
it's only a minor.
reasonable.
It's only a minor tweak.
Yeah.
But I feel
If it's reasonable, I will maybe give Iron Fist 2 a chance.
A go. No, I think you should definitely watch it just to see how far you get through it.
Anyway.
So I just want to say as well to Carl as well, what is the weirdest thing about me about the character is that, like, because Kunlun's in it's somewhere like in Tibetan kind of China area, and so all the people from that area are Asian, and then you've got like this really pasty white dude who even looks like, I think it's because of what the culture and stereotypes are now compared to when the comics came out. Because like people definitely, he comes off as the dude that has spent 3 weeks in Asia and being like, I know I'm the master of Zen. And you're like, are you fucking, and you're like, and he's telling these people being like, he's like, you need to focus your chi. And it just rings bells of every fucking dickhead, backpacker dickhead you've met being like, no, I went to Asia for 3 weeks and learned all about my chi and recentered it. And you're like, fucking shut your mouth.
I've just spent 2 weeks in Nepal and now I'm enlightened.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, that's where that character kind of like, I was like,
absolutely, yeah.
I like that. And I think that's why they turned down a little bit in his appearance in Luke Cage. Of him, he's still like, he's still Danny Rand. It's still the same character, but he's not like spouting mystical proverbs every 3 seconds. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, cool.
One of the best parts. This is a little better. One of the best parts in Defenders, and I'm gonna contain it so it's not a spoiler, is like Danny and Luke Cage are talking, and Luke Cage kind of like just like is making fun of him, and is just like, tell me more about how you beat this dragon, and it's just like, I had to fight him and punch him in the heart, and that's how I got my. It's like, dude, I was kidding. Shut the hell up! I was sick. Like he was literally going, I'm tired of you talking about this mystical dragon.
That happens more in the.
It's like, dude, I was kidding.
But it's actually way more fun in Luke Cage with them two on screen together. Yeah. I think it's much more palatable character with Luke Cage.
So he's just sort of like less talking, more punching.
But the thing is though, even in the comics, Luke Cage and Danny Rand, like they're
a duo.
They're a duo. They're genuinely good friends, and like most of the time, it's not like a group thing. It's just those two doing their thing. And then they cross over with Spider-Man. They cross over with Jessica Jones. They cross over with a bunch of people. But generally, it's like those two do go along together. But anyway, we have talked enough about my frustrations with
Defenders.
Marvel.
Yeah. This is just a spot for our new podcast. Yeah. This is just like if you want more of this juicy goodness, jump over to Movie Mates.
Otherwise known as Bin Gets Mad About Movies for half an hour or however long it takes.
Half an hour.
I'm generally pretty chill on that one.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get into the swing of things. First topic. So, for those of you that have listened to us before and watched before, you know how we like to talk controversy. You know how we like to talk
them clicks.
Things that make gaming great, such as loot boxes, such as DLCs, such as what's Fortnite's one again?
Battle Pass.
The Battle Pass, monetization schemes,
all
legal
the monetization
action, copyright infringement.
If people listen to our podcast, like solely to our podcast to get news about gaming, people would think that gaming is a horrible hobby for people that
play games. People,
gaming is a horrible hobby for people that hate money and want to have less of it.
So I can't buy this game and just play it at my house. No, it must be a live
That is
service.
not gaming, my friend. New challenger has arrived into the battlefield. We have Access Origin Premiere.
Yes, Access. So this is not a completely new thing. This is, I think Xbox has a version, Origin has a version. Every major publisher now has their fucking bullshit. I don't understand why backlog catalog that you can pay a small amount of money for
some of them
to get access to their backlog of games.
Okay, so going into this, a lot of them actually work pretty differently. Because some of them are sort of like you subscribe and you get access to the backlog immediately.
Yep.
Some of them you subscribe and every month you just get a bunch of games for free, but you don't get to pick ahead of time.
Yes.
I think that's somewhat different though.
That's like the Humble monthly and PlayStation Plus, I think.
Well, Xbox Live does that as well, but it's like you get a free download a month, and that's what PlayStation Plus is doing as well.
So the way Xbox works is they have Games with Gold, which is 3 games per month that they give to you for free. You can download and keep them forever.
Right.
As long as you still have Games with Gold.
As long as you have, but Games with Gold comes with gold.
Yeah, that's my point. Like,
As long as you have an Xbox Live account.
Okay. My bad. I'm not aware of most of these things because I'm a filthy Nintendo, filthy Nintendo fanboy.
PC / Blizzard fanboy.
Just count them now. Just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, but the thing is, Xbox have Game Pass, which is their actual subscription service.
Okay.
Which is more like, here's our backlog. They do add and remove games from that backlog depending. Generally, it's for like publishing. Like if a game developer pulls their rights to it or they lose access to it, it's not because it's not a rotating. It's a rotating service only because for legal reasons, not because.
Yeah. So this is what we're talking about, and this is probably closer to something more like Google Play or Spotify for games.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Spotify can remove ad songs depending on legal issues, but basically when it's there, you can probably assume that it's probably going to be there.
They only try and add songs, but the recording industry is bullshit, and I keep going to my playlist. I keep going to my playlist and being all like, "Where the hell did those songs go?"
So it frustrates me where it's still in the list, but it's just grayed out. So you know that you had this song, you just can't play it anymore.
No, I specifically have that setting on, so I know which labels to get angry at.
I found all of I was going through and I tried to make a playlist of like all my favorite anime theme songs.
Yeah.
And the Full Metal Alchemist one, you can only get covers, and I was like, isn't that thing? I went on the web and it's totally on Spotify, but the labels only made it for Spotify if you're in Japan. And I was like,
fuck.
It's even on the fucking website.
I've seen that.
I can see it. I can see it. Like I listen to it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
I think
the amount of times I looked for again the original version, and I was just like, nope. Exactly that. And then there's a bunch of One Piece ones that I really like that I was trying to find. Again, just covers.
Like
Naruto ones, just covers.
I don't want to listen to the cover. The reason I like those theme songs is because of the vocals. And the vocals
so
are different.
A while back, I was taking a bit of like a nostalgia trip and getting some old songs that I'd heard on Triple J during the 90s. And it's like, why would you make... Okay, the album was only released in Australia. Why is it not available? Get out of here.
Like, what the shit, guys?
Who is listening to this?
We are your sole, like, consumer base. Why?
But, like, we are touching on, like, legitimate issues with general things as a service. You know, like music as a service, software as a service. Now this is games as a service.
Okay, so this is so what we've been talking about Spotify and music streaming services is essentially what happens when you have a service that could be global. No reason why it couldn't be global, but the contracts that go back 10, 20, 30 years were not written in a global world, and now don't make any sense, but still have legal weight.
Yes.
Well, there's been a few. Previously you get like. Can't download a movie in like
you wouldn't download a car.
Like region restrictions is basically what we're talking about, right? Yes. But that's an ongoing thing for whatever reason. Think Amazon. Think like online shopping. It's just like
that's different though. That's the GST, which we also covered a few podcasts back.
It's not even just GST. It's just people go, this isn't available even on freaking YouTube. This is not available in your region.
Because the reason being is because
ones are contractual.
They are. Yeah. Because what that is like, so a good example is Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. That gets uploaded to the Last Week Tonight YouTube channel. And they're his main topics. So if you want to watch the whole thing, you've got to have an HBO subscription or HBO Go, whatever, to view the whole show.
Yeah.
But his main topics, which are like 15 to 17 minutes out of the 45-minute block, is on. And that's really good. And I get notifications when they go up. However, I click on them and they say not available. That's because Foxtel has the rights to broadcasting it in Australia, and then Foxtel go no, and then they say no, you can't. You have to block Australia because you're undercutting our prices. We paid you a lot of money to get the rights
to that,
to this thing. They can't. They have to go to us now. That's the law. They can't go to you anymore.
Yeah.
They have to come through us. So
and
that's why
then once the once the season is over, they all appear on YouTube at the same time.
Yeah.
For us.
But even music does it. Even like stupid little things are just like, you get more money out of us. Just give us the goddamn content. Why are you doing this to us?
Yeah.
We just want to.
But so back to Origin Premiere as well. So Premiere was a service. I can get the numbers up, but the service is about $30 I believe for a year, which is generally the way things go. They're usually not a lot of money, because Because they're generally not the newest games. They're like games that back in the backlog somewhere.
10 years ago or whatever.
Or less. It's like a game came out 3 years ago and you're like, okay, cool. So yeah, $30 a year or you can go $5 a month.
Now, is that $30 US a year?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like 40 Australian, 45.
Yeah,
about 40.
So it's still expensive. It's not.
Yeah,
and thing is, and remember, like this works. This makes sense in my mind. It makes sense if it's an Xbox thing because it's platform level. If you were going to do it, maybe Steam. I don't know how Steam would really work if you did that. But like when you start going Origin and like when publishers start making
specific
their own things, how many games are you going to get your money's
available?
worth?
It would only make sense to me if it was Origin the platform, not Origin the EA brand.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's Adam's point as well, right? Like if it's a platform base where you have an exuberant amount of options.
If you gave me access to Origin, like. Is it true that a lot of like AAA games get an Origin release just so that they can be on that platform? I don't use Origin. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like, Origin's just like, it's just a DRM system. So like a lot of games should be like, we can go to Origin. Like it's not. I don't think it's a thing that they have to really
like cater to. Like it's just like, yes, we give you permission to put our game on that.
Yeah, so it's like for your average AAA game, you can get it on Steam. You can get it on Origin.
You probably can. No one does, but you probably can.
Nah, I don't know.
But the thing is, EA. But
actually, that's a good point. Is that actually the case?
But no. So the EA, the Origin access is only ever going to put EA games on there because they're the ones they're going to have unfiltered rights.
Yeah,
right.
They're not going to get pulled, so they're only going to put EA stuff on there. But so but like one of the main criticisms of people being like, hey, why can't I play the latest game? I've still got to go out and pay $100 for Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, why? But like, I've got to go. Or like Battlefield 5. I've got to go buy that game.
How many loot boxes does that come with?
Yeah, like, So again, it's just another revenue stream. But what they're doing is they're making Access Origin Premier. The current Origin Access will be called Origin Access Basic, and that will be the same. That will be unchanged. Premier basically is now $100 a year, so that's substantially more than the $30 US a year. Now it's $100 US a year, but that has all their games. Like basically, it's like so the day Battlefield 5 drops, you can play it on Origin Access Premier.
I was about to say,
so you don't.
Okay.
So you could it includes all of their new games.
Okay.
Is immediately available to play.
Okay, I have several questions.
Yes.
Okay, so I was about to say that $100 is a lot of money, but then I quickly did some maths in my head, and I'm paying more than that per year for World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Actually, this is very weird. So the article I'm looking at here has everything split because it's a European website. It's like US dollars and then euro. But then, and it's like $30 US, 25 euro. And then it just says Origin Access Premier priced at $100 /euro. So it's actually effectively the same.
Just the same.
So I guess they just decided they're happy to
overcharge.
Well, overcharge.
Yeah, it's going to be overcharged.
On euros?
Yeah, euros. Yeah. That bumps the price up in European countries a little bit.
Sorry, guys.
Euro prices do actually tend to be a bit more expensive even after you take the exchange rate into account. Just like Australian prices.
Yeah.
Just like any country that has to convert from the US dollar.
So the thing is,
just any conversion tends to screw you over a little bit.
So they've announced that Madden 19 will be coming in August, FIFA 19 in September, Battlefield 5 in October, and Anthem in February 2019.
So wait,
actually, is that immediate then? Anthem's coming out this year, I thought.
No. I thought it was
next year. Maybe it is next year. I feel like I'm a little bit confused here. So on Origin Premier, you get all the new games as they drop as part of that subscription.
Yes.
You don't pay more for the actual game.
No. But if you pay access to the subscription and you can just download that game.
But if you unsubscribe, you lose access to the game.
Yeah, so I get it, but that seems good.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing, and this is maybe I just thought this is maybe where EA might have a bit of a leg up in here.
Yeah,
is that this could be good if you're into the yearly sports game cycle.
Yeah,
because you're going to be getting
instead of paying
$100 a year, you're going to get Madden and FIFA and all these games, all the sports titles.
Yeah,
$100 a year every year, but you're only ever going to play if you're really into those games. You're going to buy that game every year.
Yeah.
that ideally.
That's why I was just like, wait, this doesn't. So you're paying $100 a year.
Yep.
For this subscription, and you're getting all of these games as part of it.
Yes.
Like, is that a bad thing?
I suppose it's not if you are intending, if you're an EA fan and you're intending to play all those games.
Also, you're going to play them on PC
for example,
as well.
From my,
all of them
from
on
my,
PC.
From my perspective, I play Need for Speed. Those are EA games. I'll play FIFA. EA games.
Yeah.
I've played.
I mean,
would you count? No, that's Warner Brothers.
So
but there's a bunch. There's more than just the sports games. Is my point. They do have a reasonable selection of games.
They do.
So there might be like 3-4 games from EA that I will play each year. That would be fantastic.
Then you're getting $25 a game.
You get like
their big franchises, I believe, are Need for Speed is EA.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
it is.
Madden, FIFA, Battlefield,
Battlefront now.
Battlefront, Titanfall.
Titanfall is.
I don't know.
That was an Origin exclusive, but is it EA?
I believe it is. Yep.
Yeah. So to that point, right?
And as of next year, Anthem.
Yes.
So if you like all those games and you're intending to play them as they come, new versions of them as they come out, this is probably worth the money.
This is fantastic. I'd say that's fantastic. Like,
yep,
if you're,
Titanfall's
I mean, I get where they're coming from because you're like, if you're playing all of their games, you will have
save
no
money.
time for anything else. You will save so much money.
Yeah.
But playing all these big titles will give you very little time for any other games, and that kind of just
You're only staying in
locks you
EA.
into EA basically. So I get that.
How long until Activision Blizzard have their version, and when can I sign up?
Well, so that's the thing, these are the games that they've currently announced for it. It might be that like a new game doesn't get.
Yeah,
but
so they might not add it.
But the games that they've already announced for it are all their major releases for this year and next year.
That would be a pretty big breach of trust, though, if they did that. But then again, we are talking about EA.
Well, and these are all the games that EA is the publisher of these games.
Yes.
So do not expect to get a non-EA game on this Premiere service.
Yeah,
Okay,
that makes
now,
sense.
here is my big question about this.
Yep.
How does this interact with DLC and microtransactions for these games?
Microtransactions would be as is. I think it's just you get access to the game.
So it's sort of like,
you're just buying the game.
You're subscribing for the year, and then you drop like $100 more on microtransactions, and then you unsubscribe. What happens to that DLC? That's fucked.
So my idea would be gone. And that's interesting. Yeah, comparing that to DLC, of saying, yeah, DLC is involved. Like if I bought the new Bungie update, for example, on a different publisher, but like if I bought the new expansion, then you're like,
for Destiny,
and then I stop.
Destiny, you mean?
Yeah, and then I stop. I wouldn't obviously be getting access to the expansion, but I'd have to pay the deal for the expansion. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be a fucking money. Like developers wouldn't get any money if they released a $30 or $40 DLC, and then everyone on Access just got it for free as well.
Yeah. So
No. Okay. No.
Maybe they do. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think that would be a bad business.
I wasn't thinking about DLC in the terms of that, like large DLC in terms of like expansion packs. I was more thinking like cosmetics and maps and that sort of thing.
That would absolutely be in-game transactions. That's totally. This is as the name implies, access to the game.
Yeah. So no, but think about it. Like it still makes sense. You're like, oh, that's shit. If you stop subscribing, you lose the games. But it makes sense because imagine if you go, I bought this game from a store and I returned it. You don't have that game anymore. DLC,
yeah,
anything you downloaded.
You'd still have your save files as well. So theoretically, if you wanted to get your access back, then
you just
your shit
resubscribe and it's still there.
If you stop subscribing to EA, let's say that you got heavily into Anthem and you bought a bunch of DLC from it, and you found that you were only playing Anthem. If you unsubscribed from
bought a copy of Anthem,
would you still have your stuff?
I would hope so because it's locked. I would assume so because it's locked to your account.
Yeah,
and it would be on like hard save files on your
save files
machine.
Should still be on the machine, right?
If it's not, that would be completely the fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
That'd be awful.
Well, I mean, this is EA we're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
yeah.
I feel like that's almost like they would technically have to go in and say, this doesn't work with a hard copy.
It would be like Sony fucking over Fortnite for that reason. Be like, guess what? We're purposely going out of our way to do this.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's not like there hasn't been precedent for this sort of boneheaded decision by publishers. Remember the 3DS? Remember that all the DLC and digital purchases were tied to your device?
Yeah, so you can't you have to rebuy them. If you bought a new 3DS, you have to rebuy
No,
it.
if you bought a new 3DS, you had to go through the transfer process.
Yeah.
Which could fuck up and you lose all your shit.
Doesn't work.
It wasn't great. Yeah, that wasn't
And
good.
if you lose access to your previous device,
So
all
it
your
would be
stuff's
like
gone.
it would basically be like it uses the the device's ID on sales or purchases or whatever.
Yeah.
So then like if you try to go, I'm re-downloading it. Oh, different device ID. Sorry, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to do all this transfer. Whereas
thankfully, I think the Switch is.
They changed that.
Thankfully, I think the Switch works the way that you would expect it to.
Yeah.
In that it's
As
all
in,
tied
like,
to your Nintendo account.
Every other game
service.
system ever.
Whereas in this situation, like I feel like it's when you save a game, you're saving it to the hard disk on your Xbox, on your PC, whatever the case is.
Well,
For
see,
them to go out of their way to be like, yes, you've saved it to this file, but we've put. I can almost not even see how they would do that.
Well, because they probably it's like Diablo 3, right? Which is an Activision product, but even though you can play that totally single player, it's all online. So it's sort of like your save
back to
file
your account.
is not actually on your hard drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't bet that if these games have a single player mode, that would be the same case there.
Who knows?
Okay.
But the thing is, like, it does look like there is some value for a certain group of people, where I definitely don't think that fits everyone. It's definitely like, I play all these sports games also on PC. Most of the sport game people are on console as well.
That's true.
So, I mean...
So this is only on PC. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry,
yeah, because it's Origin. Yeah. So if we expanded this to other publishers,
But there is a market there for it. There is a market.
So if we put hypotheticals for other publishers, if they decide to be like a BattleNet pass or a Uplay pass or something, would we be interested? Would we as a group be interested in any of that? The one that I would consider would obviously be the BattleNet pass.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much value.
Yeah,
it
but
actually...
there's not much beyond what you're already playing. Like think in terms of what you're
You've
paying
bought
for
most things.
Blizzard. No, but whether he's bought it or not.
Well, it would for my usage, it would depend on how it interacts with Hearthstone.
Yep.
If you got free packs or something.
So even beyond Hearthstone, so you have
in-game
WoW
transactions.
that you're paying for the expansions every time it comes out. You have what else? Hearthstone. That's like, again, are you paying for the expansions every time? But you're saying packs are different, which is like DLC.
Well, no, but the thing is, when the expansion comes out, it's sort of like, okay, because I played Hearthstone a lot because I enjoyed it. It's one of my main games. I buy a bunch of packs every expansion. I take advantage of the pack deals and that sort of, to buy in bulk. But technically, whenever an expansion comes out, you can just pay in-game currency for the new packs now.
Yeah.
There's no base game that comes along with an expansion that you have to buy into.
Yeah.
If there is single player content with the expansion, you typically get that for free.
Yeah. So my point is, on a yearly basis, you probably spend a couple hundred on each of these.
Yeah.
So in your situation, it would absolutely make sense if these things come out for you.
But they probably wouldn't.
Well, who knows what Blizzard's going to do, right?
Well, I'd say they're probably not going to.
But we're talking hypothetical here, so don't worry if they do or don't.
So I don't play Heroes, and I don't play Diablo 3 anymore. Well, I mean, I play it so rarely that I might as well don't play it.
Yeah, but even just on the legs of
like a couple of weeks ago,
Hearthstone and
like a couple of weeks ago, I said that I was sort of like, every time a new Call of Duty game comes out, I'm always curious as to where they've gone with it.
Yeah.
But I usually end up passing on it because their pricing structure is so bizarre that I have no idea what I actually need to buy to get the experience I want.
Yeah.
You know? And then there's Destiny, which should be up my alley, but I don't have time for 2 MMOs. But if I got it for free, maybe I'd check it out.
Yeah. And the thing is, that would also tie in of like, do I get the expansions for free? Because when we get into the MMO region, and this is something that Origin is going to have to address with Anthem, which is their third-person shooter MMO offering,
Yep.
is they're going to have to be able to say, Well, actually, there's actually been some recent releases about that as well. It looks like maybe more single player than what is
MMO than
what was originally pitched, more
Nah.
RPG than MMO.
Right.
Because everyone's like, this is definitely going to be like akin to Destiny, but now it looks like they're veering away from that. Whether that be, who the fuck knows? This game is that game in itself is a fucking foreign mystery
Just
to me.
wait and see.
I'm interested to see it, and
Yeah.
I might buy it, but God, it looks. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's for a game that we know so little about, it has
coming
a
out very
soon.
soon.
So
Yeah,
it might
yeah.
be. So it
I
might
don't know.
like
It'll be great, or it's going to be a fucking bomb. It's gonna go one way or the
Yeah.
other.
So to your point of saying, if you got COD for free, for example, you might play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I got COD for free, I'd sure as
at least within the subscription
Yeah.
basis.
I would
if you
totally.
if you got Destiny 2 within the subscription basis, you might play. But these are all different publishers.
No, they're not. I mean,
They're all Activision.
Oh, Activision.
Yeah,
Activision.
They're all part of the Battle.net client now.
But to that point, so you've got Activision, and you've then got, let's say, Blizzard does the same thing. Then you've then got Origin doing the same thing.
Wait.
All of these
You're
different
paying $100 per
groups,
subscription.
like if all of these different groups are doing it,
Okay,
would
so
you
whoa.
buy into each of these?
No.
Let me stop you right there.
And also, to clarify, when I was saying that I would be interested in this, my assumption was that it would be an Activision Blizzard pass. It would be an Activision pass for all of the Activision games, and that includes the Blizzard
All
games.
the Blizzard
Yes,
stuff,
yeah.
right?
Well, that would be big.
Yeah, see, that would be massive,
That'd be
and that
huge.
would be, and I don't
Imagine
think that
if
would
Disney
make sense.
released a pass. Why doesn't Disney just buy all the game publishers, and then we can buy Disney Pass, and Disney
And
owns
have
everything,
everything.
and we'll be fine. We'll have everything under the one roof, and we'll have a monopoly, and it'll be great.
I can't see any problems with this plan
And our Disney
whatsoever.
overlords would be great dictators.
Have weekly screenings where you have to go in and watch Mickey Mouse for 20 minutes or whatever it is. Attendance is compulsory.
Anyway, I think we've covered that topic.
Yes.
Fairly substantially. Anybody listening, please feel free to weigh in on the topic. Keen to hear your views. Is there any specific publisher or group that you would be keen to go, yeah, I'm paying a subscription to get all their games?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything. I can't.
Nintendo?
No, but that's a platform.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, well, Nintendo first party publishing games as well.
Yeah.
That would be a big one. That would actually be, people would be jamming on that. It depends though, because those games get pitched all over the place. Sometimes it might be get Legend of Zelda, and I'll be like, yeah. And they'll be like, I don't know. The example I thought of immediately was like, no, I'd get that. But like, they were like Mario Party, and some people be like, fuck no.
Nintendo would be an amazing one because there are so many obscure little games.
I don't think they're going to do it though, because
I don't think they will either, because it's too big.
Because their ratio of their platform versus the amount of first party games they publish on it is really big in the weight of first party publishing.
Yeah,
so
exactly
to
right.
them, they're selling
Like-
a console and then immediately giving
like
their games
giving away all the
Like,
games. It's just like, we'd make no money out of this.
no,
But
we're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
right. But
it is kind of interesting the way that that's shaken out with the Switch basically being Nintendo first parties plus indies. And the other consoles basically being equivalent with, except for a couple of exclusives.
I fucking love it. We've talked about this previously.
Yeah.
But that's the best.
So yeah, and to my point around Nintendo, there's like, have you ever played things like The World Ends With You and No More Heroes and little bits and random things that were on? Does Game Boy games come into account at that point? Like, there's just so much
Everything
option
on the
in
virtual
Nintendo.
store, and
like
you're just like,
Nintendo,
oh, God.
like it would not make any business sense for
No.
Nintendo whatsoever. Anyway, let's carry on. The next thing that we wanted to talk about, one of our favorite games ever, No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah,
got
this
a nice
one.
little update.
Well,
Or
this is
talk
actually
of a nice little update.
So my idea of this as well is that I actually like everyone kind of rightfully came out and shit all over No Man's Sky. Like, I remember we had our few Let's Plays that we did when the game launched. We had a fun time
fun.
for the couple of hours that we played it. We didn't go so deep into it, but we were like, cool, exploring planets and taking off. And it was a fun game, I think, a lot of the time because we were all sitting around playing it together and having that kind of shared experience. But I like, personally, like, then it was like this, and I was like, I can't wait to see where the game goes next. And that's kind of where our video ends. And then the overall response is, Yeah, it's just that.
That was
Yeah.
it.
for the next 50 hours.
the
And I was like,
extent
oh,
of the
that would be
game.
done. I thought we would go further. I was
There's-
like,
there's more to explore.
We're launching to a new planet. And then it's just like, yeah, and then you rinse
Now
and repeat.
just like you're on another planet now. Collect more items.
Do it again. So I
Do
was
it
like,
again and again and again, and eventually you make it to the center of the galaxy, and then the game's over. No
Do you know what
ending.
makes me?
Yeah.
What that makes me think of? Sense 8. Like I started watching that, and you explained that was the situation to me, and I just instantly stopped. I have not watched another episode beyond what I watched, where I was just like, oh, like nothing changes.
Okay, so did you actually see that? Did you actually see what I was saying
because,
as well?
No, because like when
Yeah.
I talked to you, I was just like, it keeps hinting at more. But
What happens? And
more
I'm like, it
nothing
doesn't.
happens.
I'm like, it doesn't
like,
come.
It's like there's this big backstory.
People
like,
love
they're-
that fucking show too. People love that show.
It's like hinting at
And
the
I'm
fact that there's like this huge conspiracy back thing that's like surrounds these 8 people that are all linked in one way or another, and then it just never goes into it. It just this person's doing this thing. Now this person's doing this thing. Now this person's doing this thing. It's like that's great that they're doing things, but how does that all tie together?
Spoiler: it doesn't.
It doesn't. They're doing their own things, but they know about the other people and they see each other.
People really like the show because of the diverse representation on the show, which I
Which
think
is
is a very
fantastic.
great thing.
It's fantastic.
Because it's written by
But I want story.
Yeah, but yeah, the story's absolute hot garbage.
It goes
anyone
nowhere.
that says otherwise to me is looking at it with rose tinted glasses.
Anyway, sorry for that little tangent, but to that point, that's what
couldn't
you're saying.
stand
No
it.
Man's Sky was.
Yeah, well, it
Okay.
just
Or
didn't. It just
possibly still is.
And I think like
it's
everyone fed into the hype machine. Is if we remember back to the glorious year of 2016.
Well, I mean-
how
I mean,
good was
I-
2016?
I mean,
Everyone.
I didn't play it,
Better
but
than 2017 and 18.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think 2016 was kind of the start the
downward spiral.
we're going down. Right. Humanity's downfall.
all right. So my impression of that. I didn't play it, so this is secondhand information.
Yeah.
But my impression of it was that it had a bunch of systems that were fine on their own, that were kind of impressive, but they didn't really build into anything bigger.
Nope. Yeah, I agree with that too.
And the more you played, the more the limitations of those systems became
very apparent.
very apparent and more of an annoyance than a pleasure.
Yeah,
So-
and I think a lot of people kind of went into the hype machine and was like, yes, this is going to be the greatest game
Fantastic.
ever. And this is
Space
18 million
exploratory.
quadrillion planets.
and to be fair,
Or whatever it was.
to the gaming public is that the Hello Games didn't exactly rein that in. They, if not anything, they kind of
they
fanned a lot
encouraged
of that
it.
and
Yeah.
encouraged a lot of the hype.
Yeah.
And that kind of, but the thing is, so that's where we kind of left off. What is good now though is that they basically just shut down a lot of their social media. They kind of went away and hid in a corner,
quietly licked their wounds.
And this isn't the first major update. They've had a few big updates with base building and a few other big bits and pieces, but they've been quietly working away and just working really hard to get this game going.
improve it.
Which, and to be honest, the reaction to this next update, a lot of people are saying, if only EA
it'd been
would
like
do
this
this. If
on
only Activision would do this and be like, hey, this game's shit. Let's just work on
Let's
it and fix
improve
it.
it.
And this game is not acceptable, so we're going to keep working on it until it is acceptable. And that's what No Man's Sky's done. They've got like a very small player count at the moment, but with this next the update, this next update, it's called Next. Like,
Sure.
who's on first?
That's really dumb.
Next, capitalize Next.
The next update.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, what's the next update called? It's the next update.
It's the next update.
It is very who's on first, isn't it?
But yeah, so this is centered around multiplayer as a core delivering of, which is a big thing that was hinted at the original release, never specifically confirmed, never denied, always skirted around.
No, they said that you'd be
Oh,
able
did they?
to do it. Yeah, and that's why there was such an outcry about it.
And then, but they said, but the chance of you meeting each other would be so rare. Then people found each other within the first day, and they were like, "Hey, we're on the same planet, and guess what? He's not here. He's not here."
Huh. Never mind.
And so we dug through the code. There's literally no networking code in here. There's no networking.
What I'm curious about, like you
Yeah.
explained, they're improving the game. They're
Yeah.
still like working on it, just hacking, like just making it better. Mm-hmm. Does the point of story progression still stand though? Is it still travel to a planet,
Yeah,
nothing really
so
changes. Or you can base build, but you can do these more things.
They've done a lot. They've added more things to do in the game,
Mm.
and for full reference, I've not played this. I actually, to be honest though, after this update, I was actually considering being like, I could
Give
buy
it a
this
try.
for Xbox. Like
Yeah.
it's on Xbox now. I was like,
Why
I
not?
could
Is
give it a
it
go.
on Switch yet?
I
Probably not.
don't know. I would actually consider getting that on
Yeah.
Switch.
See,
actually.
the thing is, for me,
But-
what makes a good game for me is that progression. Like, things getting bigger and better and harder and more difficult. So, RPGs,
Yeah, I don't think they-
you level up, you get stronger. So, there's the enemy. It becomes more challenging.
Yeah.
Car racing games, you get better cars as you go. The opponents get better. Like, sports games even.
The courses get more intricate.
challenging and more intricate. Like there's a increase in even something like Overwatch. When you're playing competitively, you go up ranks and you play against better players. There's an increase in difficulty.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
An increase.
Yeah.
So like for me, like this is all great. They're improving the game. They're adding more to it. But is it still more?
Does your
planet?
experience actually progress beyond what it is at the start?
But the thing is though, I think this game fits more into the realm of the Minecraft.
Yeah, that's
where that
that's
doesn't
not
actually
what-
happen.
that's not what
It's
people
more of
are
a
after in
creative
that
game.
case,
This-
yes.
No Man's Sky also has a creative mode with no resource management as well, which is good because one of the things that people say still here in No Man's Sky is that it's still a grind. It's still just smashing the shit out of like everything costs a resource.
Yeah.
Even like just walking around the planet
Is using up
is
your oxygen or whatever.
It's like it's constant things. And if that's your thing and that's what you like, then
perfect.
okay,
Yeah.
great. And I guess the things of grinding out those components, putting them together, making starship fuel and then blasting off to another planet at some level of rewarding of the inherent difficulty, but it's not like it's difficulty because of the time investment that it takes rather than it being a hard thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
So but the problem is
I'm not
still
sure that's for me.
That's still a core part of the game, and that's always. And I think that's going to be hard to change because that's the
I feel
genre
like
of
that's
game
the core
that
part of the game. You
exists
don't
in.
want to change that.
Anyway,
Like,
now,
that's
what I think-
selling to a couple of like a specific group of people, and that's what they want.
Now, what I wanted to talk about more on this topic, I guess so we could use it to compare and contrast is how is this update changing the game?
So a lot of this is the multiplayer, and a lot of people some people are a little upset with the multiplayer because they're expecting like an MMO, everyone online together kind of thing, like but it's a up to 4 player drop into a session kind of thing.
But that's still
Which is still great.
That's still 400% more players than the original version was.
Absolutely, and I think that's totally fine. And to be honest, and that means that I could play, and you could have a copy, and be like, "Hey, Carl, jump into my game, and we'll go around." Like,
And
that's totally fine.
The problem with
I think
that is,
that's
would
okay.
it be actually finding each other in the galaxy? But
No, you drop on to
okay.
location. You
Oh,
drop
okay.
in,
All right.
and then you travel together.
All right.
Although what has been noted already is that resources gathered are not shared within the party, and rewards. So immediately it's like, oh, we killed this thing. Everyone for themselves, like trying to like scoop shit up. Like,
sounds like playing Diablo 2 with my mates back in the day.
You're just waiting for the minute they turn on like what's it called, friendly fire. Like, oh boy.
Okay, no, all right, more. Okay,
But there's space battles and stuff now as well. You in this game you can jump in with 3 of your mates and then go and fight space pirates together. That's cool. That's a cool thing to do.
Okay. Does this do anything to change the original experience in a way that you couldn't go back to it? Do you reckon?
So what do you mean by that? So like someone.
So like if somebody had like thoroughly enjoyed the original, like, because taste is subjective, right?
Yes.
So if somebody thoroughly enjoyed the original loop of No Man's Sky and they just liked it because they could zone out and do whatever, you know.
This improves that.
Does this improve that? Is it a strict improvement, or does it take away some things?
Most things, it is an addition. It's more stuff to do, and it's more functionality to enhance what was already the core concept of the game, and address a lot of the reason people felt hurt by the game, saying like, yeah, I expected a Minecraft resource management kind of game, but this game is so barren. Jumping from planet to planet, it's too shallow for this game that was promised to me of these millions of star systems and all this shit. it feels shallow. That's the angle they're going. They're making that game deeper, effectively.
So that sounds really positive.
It is. People, I've been seeing heaps of people jump back into the game and the player base has grown quite substantially.
Because what I wanted, because I wanted to sort of like contrast that with situations in which you have one of these. I don't know what's the word for it. Live service. Is this a live service? Is this what we call a live service, or is it more of just like a living game?
Well, are you paying a subscription for it?
No, you've bought the game, and then that's why a lot of people come back. They're like, "Well, I already bought this game, so I'll download the update."
I can come back to it.
And that's the good thing that they've done as well. These are all free updates, and they said that every one of our updates will be free because in no good conscience can we charge people money for this.
Hey, remember that game you bought and it sucked? Well, if you want it to be good, pay us more.
Pay us some $10 DLC. No. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not. I purely based on that. It's not a. What would you say?
Live service.
Live service.
Yeah, because
But it functions a lot in the way that other live services do.
So where I'm coming from this is it's sort of like, I think we've touched on this before, but like, there's a lot of games that get changed, updated, improved, sometimes not improved over their lifespan, and you can never go back
to what you
original
want, to what you wanted,
original
what you
version of the
liked.
game.
They changed something that you were like, well, that happens a lot in MMOs because they're like, hey, remember this mechanic you liked? It's gone now. We'll replace it with something else.
Yes, this is exactly what I wanted to talk
And
about.
this is
Thank you for helping me, Adam.
World of Warcraft.
Yes, that's right. So I'm back on the WoW train because there's a new expansion coming out in a couple of weeks. I
feel like you're never off the WoW train. Like every once in a while, you kind of just like,
He just hops onto the platform for a breather and then just gets back on.
or you're just chasing after the train. Like wait for me.
No, I basically stopped playing for a few months there.
Yeah.
because we were out of stuff
There was
to
just
do.
nothing else to do.
So there's a new expansion coming out. They've released the pre-patch. So the pre-patch is a tradition going back to the first expansion pack where about a month before the expansion is released, they update everyone's client to the new version that will support the new expansion, and a lot of systems change.
Yep.
What in preparation for, hey, these are the new things that you'll be doing in the new expansion. Get used to these systems because you're going to be using them.
Exactly.
You're going to need them.
Exactly. Well, they often don't actually introduce the new systems, but they change everything else to sort of make way for them.
Right. Okay.
So, and this has been especially disruptive this time. So, in the previous expansion, they introduced the artifact weapons, which were like their thing was going to be, you're not going to get any new weapons for this expansion. You're going to have this super powerful weapon, and you're going to upgrade it, and it's going to give you new abilities, which as you level up the weapon. Okay.
Right. Okay.
It was sort of like an expansion specific alternate advancement style system.
Yeah. Okay.
So all the new abilities you got for the expansion were tied to the weapon.
Right. Is that weapon gone now?
Yes.
Fuck. I was going to say, like, that'd be ridiculous. What is the stupidest thing I could have done? Like, they could have just removed that weapon and invalidate all of your progress.
Well, no,
Okay.
no. Okay, so it was understood that that process would become invalid for the new expansion. What I wasn't expecting was for all those abilities to also go away. I thought they were going to pull some sort of thing where
Your
it's
weapon
like,
fuses with you, and then you have those abilities.
Not fuses with you, but you learn them after using it for so long. Blah blah blah, whatever. But that's not the case. They just all went.
So
They just all went away.
So let me see if I can make sense of this. In my mind, it sounds like WoW was like, let's introduce this cool new concept where you're leveling up, but your weapon's also leveling up, and with that weapon you get powers. And then after a while, they were like, this might not really be what we wanted, or this isn't really fitting the story that we want to progress with.
No, it's not that. It's just they want their current plan for the game appears to be that for every expansion they want to have some level of alternate advancement alongside levels, so that throughout the expansion people always have some.
Okay, so when you first explained it, I thought
they hit max levels. They're like, now I have to max the weapon out, so it keeps the in-game.
So no, okay. My initial thought was that with the last expansion, they introduced this thing that they expected to progress through with every expansion. So every expansion, you still have this one thing that's like, it's your character. This weapon is going along and growing with your character, and every expansion it goes through. But it sounds like that's not the case. It's expansion by expansion.
Well, no, I think they left it sort of as an open question.
Maybe.
And the decision they've taken
After I was like,
is to
nah.
ditch it.
Okay. And on ditching, they're just like, Nope.
It's
Everything's
gone.
gone.
I'll give you to give you an example.
That feels cheap though. It feels like if I spent out like what? How long do you think it would take to get a max weapon? Like
it was
hundreds of hours.
It was an expansion long process.
So you're just like, okay,
But
cool. I've done all this work and like gone. And you're like,
no, but it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Like it's always
Yeah.
like previously it wasn't like a weapon specific progression, but it was always like the gear that you got throughout an expansion was always outdated by the time you hit the next level cap.
oh, well, that's normal. Like that
Yeah.
happens in
But
Destiny
that-
as
but
well. But
that's-
I still have the thing to look at and be like, hey, I still got this really cool piece of armor. It's useless. I'm not going to wear it anymore, but it looks cool as fuck, and I still have it.
Well, you still have the weapons in this case as well. They're just useless.
Okay.
Well, they're just like any other weapon now.
Right.
You
So
can
they
still-
can't level up any further.
They can't level up any further.
And they're weak.
But more importantly, you don't get any abilities from them. And they didn't fold those abilities. Like I'll give you an example. My character is a shaman.
Yep.
I played the melee spec, so I got 3 abilities from that weapon. I got 3 like major abilities from that weapon. 3, 4, whatever. I got like apart from all the passive stat increases and all that sort of stuff, I had like an ability to turn Wind Fury attack on at will. I got an upgrade to my Wolf Summon attack that made them like elemental.
Okay.
And I got like a couple of passive abilities that shot like fire and ice and stuff.
But so that
On
so
melee
that
attack.
so that weapon no longer confers
no longer has
abilities.
those no longer has those effects. And I was kind of expecting at least the Wind Fury attack to become like part of the core kit, but no, it's just gone. It does not exist anymore.
Okay.
A lot of character class specializations
Based around those
have had those abilities replace existing talents in their talent trees. So now they have to choose between that and another ability that they have. So it just feels like a big regression.
Right. So it feels like your character's getting wound backwards.
Correct.
Which is not... Because the thing is, if you... Like, I think the idea with a lot of the MMOs is that you expect your shit to go out of date because that's the inherent nature of an MMO. But it's also kind of good when you see a new expansion and even calling it an expansion is an idea of like there's this like the anime trope
this
of,
point.
there's a new tier that I haven't even dreamed of yet. Like and then all of your shit that you thought was great now kind of useless, but you'll get cooler shit. So don't worry about the shit you spent so long working on because you're going to get even better stuff now. To have that feeling taken away, I can feel like, what the fuck?
Okay, so
Like-
so here's what I think is happening. The game is basically fighting its design in that it's now... How many years old is it? It's like 13 years old now.
Jesus.
And it's like it's lasted way longer than any other game of this type has lasted.
Oh, by far.
And and if they were to just add abilities every expansion like they did for the first 10 or so years of its
Everything
life,
would be super broken.
you would have so many abilities now that you couldn't fit them on your keyboard.
And you wouldn't be able to pick like I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So starting with Warlords of Draenor, which is now 3 expansions ago, they started to prune classes' abilities. They made a lot of abilities spec specific as opposed to being available to every character of that class, but maybe not useful. And try to cut down on the number of actions that each character needed to be able to remember.
Yeah.
But now that they're doing that every expansion as a matter of course, this period of time before you hit the next max level just feels so weak because you lose abilities before you can sort of gain them back. It's just
So it's almost like the way that it's progressing now is like you get to this max level, but then in order for you to get to the next expansion, it kind of like cuts your power in half and then you start again.
So at the end of this new expansion, you still might be more powerful than where you were at the end of this expansion. But you're like, there's a period where you're actually weaker.
Yes.
And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, and it's not just and the other thing is, because vertical progression is the name of the game in this game. Like the more raids you do, the more tiers of gear that they release, the more insane levels of numerical depravity that you get to.
Gotta get that number going up.
Every couple of expansions, they have to do a stat squish.
Yep.
It's almost like
And this just seems to be like they haven't come up with a better solution. And every time they do it, they break leveling.
Yeah.
Because this time they didn't do anything manually. They applied it. They did it in an automated process, and they missed things. So sometimes you'd come across while leveling like an old dungeon boss from like 10 expansions ago or whatever. That is still using unsquished values, so he just one-shots everyone.
Yeah.
And they've had to go back and patch these things as players discover them.
Yeah. Like you just see like this little old troll that's been around for like 10 years. Just
Hey, remember that raid that we used to run? Like we could run with like 2 people and just like fuck it up in like 10 minutes. Turns out he's like the big bad now.
The unintentional big bad.
Yeah.
He's been training in secret, guys.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate him.
So,
Question for you: with how things are progressing, with expansions and such, and I think it will apply to more than just WoW. How does that work with someone joining afresh? How does a new starter get involved in?
I'm glad you asked that question.
So the just what I'm thinking here is like what you're explaining is people are just getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger with each expansion, and then a new person comes in and just goes, I literally cannot play with any of you.
I'm a level 1 little bitch. What do
I literally cannot play with any of you.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
it will take me 5 years
It's area
to be able to
region,
catch
isn't
up.
it? So you play in regions that
Yes,
you're...
that's correct. And it's not so bad. It's probably takes it. Okay, it takes a lot longer than it should to be able to bring a character from level 1 to cap.
That's what I was thinking.
In my opinion, even for a fresh player, if they want to level from 1 to cap, it's going to take them a long time.
Yeah.
When you buy the expansion, you have the ability to bring a character to the previous expansion's cap.
Okay.
You get 1 token to bring a character from whatever level it is now to the previous expansion's cap when you buy that expansion.
Okay.
So you could choose just to be like, I
instantly
want to
go
fast forward and just play
To
this
go
expansion.
from level 1 to level
If you just
50
just
because I
don't
just
care.
bought the
But
latest
but
expansion.
But
the
you
problem
miss
is-
out on all the previous content.
But it's not really worth much anymore. It's like it's not like Final Fantasy 14 where you have a long story which is actually kind of entertaining to play through, which you can skip if you want.
Yeah.
It's
because
it's
it's based on raids, because it's based on so many like
Play interaction.
player
You're like, the
interaction.
players aren't
like,
here
there's
anymore.
no one there. Like
exactly. Story has
Level 1's a fucking ghost town.
Where'd
everyone go?
Yeah, exactly. WoW narrative has never been WoW's strong point.
yeah.
WoW's reason for being has always been team play.
It's an MMO. It's a really good MMO.
Has always been team play. More recent MMOs like Destiny, like Final Fantasy 14, have tried to make narrative more of a strong point.
Or
as
at
to
the
why
very
you want
least,
to
they
play them.
effectively give a single player experience.
That's right.
Or you can play Destiny through basically single player and then just do the events and raids and shit and match make your teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll have a garbage experience, but you can do that if you want
like,
to.
Yeah,
whereas WoW, you
You
just
don't have to get
that
a clan.
option.
Yeah,
You can't really do that in WoW.
Exactly. Whereas in WoW, it's sort of like if you aren't narratively interested in WoW, number one, what's wrong with you? Number two, that's not
Play
fair.
Warcraft.
That's not fair. That's kind of like it is vaguely entertaining in the what the hell sort of ridiculous
I don't give a
bullshit are they
shit.
going to pull next?
Who
Yeah.
cares? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's sort of. But also, if you are interested in the story, you're going to be disappointed because every time you hit a previous expansion's cap, you basically miss the conclusion of that story and dive into the next expansion immediately.
All right. Like, because it's no longer there.
Because it's no longer there.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like, expansion by expansion, it just goes, well, this story is done.
Yeah, because it's like
the next expansion.
Yeah, because it's sort of like okay, so the current the previous what's now the previous expansion, Legion. This is about the demons launch another invasion of Azeroth, and they're bringing the big guns this time. It's going to be one side is going to win or lose, forever.
And then come the expansion,
So
the good guys have won.
So
You have no more demons to fight.
yeah, so it's sort of like, so my experience playing through that expansion, because I was there for that expansion, was I go do the intro mission, I go through the island, I go through all the zones of the islands, which are like the focus of this expansion. I do the raids, which have like the story of beating the demons back,
Yeah.
then invading their home world and shutting that shit down.
Yep.
Somebody that joins the game now is going to level through the islands where the war is still on, and then that story is just going to be unfinished, and they're going to launch into the next expansion story.
Or the wars, so they don't get to push.
They don't get the experience they're not going to get the experience. I mean, they could if they feel like wasting time, but there's not going to be anyone doing the raids that conclude the story.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Whereas in the MMOs that have sort of come after, they try to make sure that you enable people to do the story get the story.
Do you know a way they could get around that? They just give you NPC parties. Like it's not easy. I'm saying it like they could easily make. No, it's not an easy thing, but they could do that. They could just like, if you still happen to be playing the old stories,
come on through.
Here's a team for you. Like it's not the same experience, but at least it's still experiencing the story.
I feel that's like a parent like holding your hand and being like, "Look, Timmy, that's where this is gonna happen. Look here." She's like these cardboard cutouts, being like, which is exactly. I'll kill this thing for you.
Which is exactly it. But for people that are playing old stories, that's what they have to deal with. Like if you still want to experience the narrative,
anyway,
there's no other way.
We've sort of gone. Narrative wasn't really what I was thinking of. But the point is, if you want to play a previous, there's no way in the current game to get a previous expansion's experience. They changed the class design, the leveling design, the balance. Even just the stats that are available in the game change on an expansion by expansion basis.
Yeah, so they're changing the core
like,
functionality. Yeah,
and you get like. They're going to release WoW Classic, but that's still only like one version out of now.
Group of 10.
How many?
But tying it back to where we started on this WoW train, is the pre-expansion that you're saying it's changed everything, and then that ties back into our initial topic of what were we talking about? What was the first part of this? I have it written down.
Updates that change a game.
No, like
access
to games.
No Man's Sky.
So it's sort of like my character is now less fun to play than it was
in the previous
a couple of
days ago,
a couple of weeks ago.
So this is two examples of updates working well and not so well. At least in this case, it's until the actual expansion comes out, and then things will probably improve.
Maybe the expansion,
but they also might not. I don't know. I don't know how my character's going to play at max level. Might be great. Might still be rubbish.
Might still be rubbish.
Having said that, I do like the fact that updates and expansions are a thing. Like, can you imagine?
I think,
going back to No Man's Sky, that game would just be dead. It would just be done.
That game would be the Culling 2 and would just drop off the face of the earth. Hey, we got 4 people playing this game. Let's shut this shit down.
And goodbye.
Bankrupt.
This comes up in my mind an awful lot because it's like there are a lot of games out there that you just cannot get the experience of when they were at their best. Like just about every competitive FPS that has been superseded, as an example. I
think that's the nature of these kinds of games, though, right? Like if you're games as a service, if it's progressing, like if things are changing over time.
But if you want to sort of like impress on somebody why a game was a cultural touchstone, you have no way of doing that. I can't tell people
this expansion of WoW is the best, and you'd be like, "Oh, I played through it, and
nothing.
It's just a few missions, like whatever."
Yeah, it's sort of like if I feel that the pinnacle of WoW, like say for example, was Wrath of the Lich King, I have no way of demonstrating that to people.
Yeah,
like I could take them back to the Wrath of the Lich King. I could like try and set up a situation where I take a level 80, which was the max then character, into the Wrath of the Lich King raids, but it's not going to work properly
because there's no one to raid.
All the abilities and the balance has changed because it's not even the same experience, even if you try and make it so.
But I think that's just part of it. That's the nature of this sort of experience that we have.
That's the nature of those genres as well. That's why that's why we're all big fans of like games like Octopath Traveler, which are sole experience, single narrative-driven games where you can play and be like, cool, that was fun.
And I always play it again.
I can give this game to you and say, how about you play this game? Or I can play it 10 years later and be like, still great.
Or you play Second Densetsu 3 8 times and not be sick of it.
I'm still not sick of that game. That game's great.
That's the point.
Yeah, so
I was actually hoping you were going to say Hollow Knight because that game's actually changed twice since it was first released.
Actually, I might take this after our podcast, but that game, I still haven't seen much difficulty spiking in the way that you guys were telling me. Maybe
Adam's just a pro gamer.
Maybe I'm amazing,
but
I don't think that's the case. I don't know what's been going on. I'm just waiting for the the fucking hammer to drop me to die immediately.
I think I'm just bad at games.
But
but you're not the only one that's been saying that.
Everyone
Having said that, that was the exact same case with Ninja Gaiden for me, where everyone's just like, this is the hardest game in the face of the planet. I'm just like, I enjoyed it, and it was fun, and yes, it was hard, but I did not want to stab myself in the eyes playing it.
Yeah, that game.
It was just enjoyable for me. Whereas
that game
everybody
was
else
rough
was
as
like,
fuck.
It was rough, but it was a good rough. For me, it was like the right amount of difficulty.
I struggled beating that game on Acolyte, which is easy mode. And
do you
I was
know-
like, fuck me.
Do you
this
know
game
what
is
the
hard.
hardest part of that game for me was?
The first level.
The first character.
The fucking tutorial mission is the worst.
It's just like,
It's
you have no idea what you're
it's the
doing.
goddamn
And then
devil.
the first boss in that is just wrecks your shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, segueing and tangenting
Play that
all
game.
over
That's
the
a
place.
good game, actually. That's a really fun game.
It's, to this day, one of my favorite games ever. The one on Xbox is easily the best game I ever played on the original Xbox.
Big call. Big call.
For me, this is very much a personal call, but I stand by that, and I will fight anybody that tries to change my mind. Anyway, we have rambled and chatted and gone on for quite some time. Let's try to wrap it up within the next 5 minutes. Adam, do you have any recommendation? Before that, actually, sorry, people's watching. Is there any expansions that you have seen or experienced that you're like, this was shit? I hate this.
Yeah.
Why did you
Or
do this?
updates in general.
Or updates in general, or like similar
flip
to
side.
No Man's Sky. Has there been anything that you've played? You're like, this is kind of average, and then the developers have gone, hey, please play some more.
Tries to get you back into
this
it.
is a little bit better.
I think this is one of the bigger, more
Examples of
noticeable
that.
releases
Yeah.
of a game being so undercooked to being like,
Okay,
this is the
we've made it
thing that we
better.
tried to promise you 2 years ago, and here it is.
So please jump onto
Actually,
Discord and let us know what you if you have any experience around that.
On the flip side, if there's a game that you've played that has been changed, and you prefer a previous version of it that you wish you could play again, tell us about that as well.
Exactly right. Okay, Adam, anything worth recommending to peeps?
No. No,
really, everything sucks.
no, not really. No,
since 2016.
yeah, 2016, man. Got me raw. No, I think a bit different. Check out like podcasts I've been listening to. Seriously, look at The Adventure Zone by the graphic novel. It's fucking great.
Okay. I do have one. I have a recommendation. I watched the stand-up comedy show yesterday, which was fantastic. I don't know if you noticed, I kind of went quiet for a second and started searching
I did notice that you were flipping
frantically
through
on Netflix. It's called Eliza Elder Millennial. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's just
All
a
right.
random, like I've literally never come across her before.
Okay. Cool.
Schlesinger. Eliza Schlesinger.
Just
Anyway,
go onto the stand-up section in Netflix. You'll probably
You'll
find it.
find it. Yeah, it is hilarious. I watched
Okay.
it yesterday. It was just one of those random, like the banner ads that come up.
Okay, cool.
And I saw the ad. I was like, sweet. I'm not doing anything right now. Jumped into it. Loved it. That's
All
my
right,
recommendation.
cool.
Check it out, Roseman.
I don't know. Come check out WoW.
After
come,
all that shit we just gave it.
come check the wreckage. You know, actually, the reason I forgot to mention my main point was that I'm pretty sure this expansion is undercooked.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
Be
this
cool.
expansion is undercooked.
Be cool.
I'm
So
pretty sure
when-
this one's been rushed out to hit their deadlines.
When is the deadline? When's it out?
In like the second week of August, I think.
Oh,
weeks.
geez,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
by next podcast.
By next podcast, you'll be able to give us your first
Rose
impressions.
will either be extremely angry or rather docile from playing in the same amount of good WoW.
I can't make next podcast, guys. I'm playing too much WoW.
Let's find out. Anyway,
yeah, maybe I'll take that one a break so I can get a full picture of the experience
for
anyway.
the podcast stuff. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Recapping on our 2 topics and 2 asks for the people. Is there any particular platform or publisher that if they had an access subscription that you'd absolutely jump onto? EA seems like a reasonable one for me because the FIFAs, the Need for
you're
Speeds,
sport boy.
those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Blizzard Activision would be Ruzz's jam. So but we're keen to see if there's anything else from anyone else. And then otherwise, updates. Have there been any impactful updates for you, good or bad? Keen to hear about that. But thank you very much for listening all the way to the end. jump onto Discord. Let us know your thoughts on the 2 topics that we did discuss. But if there's anything else, any memes, anything crazy that you want to share with us and want us to discuss, by all means, throw them at our faces. We'll catch them with our teeth and we'll run with it.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, Snapper, catch it. Catch it with your teeth. Oh man, have there been any DBZ abridged recently?
The new one's coming out pretty soon.
Oh, I'm so keen. I missed that.
It's a movie length one.
Yes, yes, I heard about it. Anyway, getting sidetracked. Thank you very much for listening. Check out some of our other stuff. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, jump onto Discord. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.